Helly, hello. What do they say? Never work with animals and kids, right? Well, Skelly. I'm Refashionista Sheri, and this is Skelly, who's trying to sit on my lap because he thinks he is a little baby boy, but he's not. Anyway, today I am outside once again on this beautiful day, and what's very, very exciting is today we are going to be doing no-sew tutorials. That's right, no sewing involved. Just your scissors, maybe some bleach, and if we're really fancy, we might break out some fabric dye. And if you want to actually do a tutorial live with me, be sure to join this channel because I'm going to start doing live tutorials. But anyway, I better take him and we're going to go play. Enjoy the no-sew tutorial. We're starting off in 2013 with one of the first tutorials that I shared on my channel, and this one is all about Scloops. Scarf plus loop equals Scloop. These are accessories that you can make out of t-shirts and scissors, and that's all you need. So first, grab a t-shirt and chop off the hemline and right under the underarm seams. Then you want to chop that body center part into a bunch of strips. These do not have to be perfect at all, because now we are going to grab them and stretch them out. And luckily, jersey t-shirt fabric curls back onto itself, so it looks absolutely finished and fabulous. Then you want to grab one stretched out loop and loop it around itself, and then do the exact same thing with another one, and then simply slip knot them together. Do this for all of your t-shirt loops, and you're going to end up with something that looks like that. Then grab a small piece of t-shirt, stretch it out, and knot up the open end. Chop off the excess, and you're done your first Scloop. And how do you wear it? Well, you simply pop it around your neck as many times as you want to, and if your t-shirt has side seams, it's okay. You just want to grab some other pieces of t-shirt and wrap it around to cover up those seams, and this one is made out of an old sweater. I actually still have this one that I made way back in 2013. And here's a closer look at how I covered up the side seams that, of course, they didn't stretch out nicely like the rest of the fabric. So I just grabbed some coordinating little pieces of t-shirt and wrapped and knotted them all around those areas that needed to be covered up. And I still have it. For Scloop number 2, you need your scissors and a t-shirt that is a medium or large, and then do the exact same thing like you did for Scloop number 1. Chop off the top and the hem. Then you want to accordion fold your t-shirt, where that's just where you're folding back and forth and back and forth. Then grab your scissors and chop almost all the way through one side, but don't chop all the way through. You have to stop. Then once you have all of your chops done, you can stretch them just like you did with the other t-shirt, but instead of stretching a loop, now you are stretching the holes, and they curl back on themselves and they look really cool. And so there's your second Scloop done. You can wear it like a scarf, or even better, you can slip your arms through it and wear it as a rather funky vest. For our final Scloop, you're going to need 4 rather large t-shirts, and then all you have to do is chop them up in the exact same way as you did for the first Scloop and stretch them out. Once you have all of your loops stretched out, then grab one and loop it around itself twice, grab another, repeat, and layer them one on top of the other until you have something that looks like a big fluffy bird's nest. Then grab a piece of t-shirt that you've already stretched out and knot all of those loops together. For this one, I actually chose a long piece of t-shirt and then wrapped it around and around all of the loops for extra security. This is definitely a heavy accessory, but it's a great way to use up those t-shirts that are just sitting at the back of your wardrobe. And you got 3 fantastic new to you accessories without sewing anything. And we're back in 2013 again to create an instant vest out of a big scarf. Grab your scarf and fold it in half lengthwise, then simply tie 2 of the corners together into a small knot, and you'll have something that looks like this. A scarf that now has 2 holes on either side of the knot. Pop your arms through those holes and there's your instant vest. So simple, so quick. If you have a scarf that isn't quite big enough to tie the corners into knots, simply pin them with a funky brooch and it works just as well and it looks just as awesome. I still have these 2 scarves, except a couple of years ago I turned the blue one into an awesome dress. Tutorial will be down below for you. And now we're in 2014, and clearly I had redecorated my groovy little home studio in Berlin. So for this, you will need a cotton shirt dress or any cotton dress, plus some fabric dye and your scissors. So the first thing I did with this was to chop off the collar. I then chopped off the sleeves, and both, of course, as close to the seam as possible, so it still left me with a finished edge. Now, when I dyed things in Germany, I was really lucky because they had fabric dye that you could just put into the washing machine. So along with the fabric dye, as always, I added a 500-gram package of salt because it really helps to keep the dye fresh. Then I switched out the buttons to these fancy ones, and my awesome no-sew dress was complete. And we're still in 2014 in my apartment building's parking lot in Berlin on a very windy day. And here I'm going to show you how easy it is to transform a plain garment with bleach. So all you need is a 50-50 bleach and water mixture in a spray bottle, a garment that takes bleach well so it's not going to burn the fabric, and a bunch of plastic. I laid an old shower curtain on my balcony and then stuffed the dress with plastic to prevent bleach leakage, of course, and then I just sprayed to my heart's content. You will be so surprised at how quickly you see a color change happening, but once you're happy with the color, simply give it a rinse and then launder as usual and enjoy your fabulous reverse dyed no-sew garment. In 2015, I shared how to make the easiest accessory ever without sewing or anything like that, the collar necklace. So of course, all you need is a shirt with a collar and your scissors. And then all you have to do is chop off the collar. Make sure that you chop it off under the buttons and as close to the seam as possible. You still want to be able to do the collar up around your neck and chop off any excess bits. If you want, you can also glue some little extra bits to it. Like here, I did the rosettes. On the other side, I stitched on some pom-poms and I switched out the buttons. And you know what? It is now a decade later and I still have the hat, the shirt, and the collar necklace from this tutorial. So I really love the lilac-y color of this dress, and it fits you really awesomely, and it's a lovely soft jersey fabric. But yeah, the length is you know, really not my style at all. Now this dress actually came with a little ropey type belt, so what I'm going to do is just turn that around so the bow is in the back, and you can use any kind of belt to do this. Then I'm just going to pull it up over, you know, kind of like when you tuck in a shirt to your jeans, and achieve my desired length. And that's it. So easy. My dress now has a lovely shorter length, fits me so much better, and there was no cutting, no sewing, no nothing involved. Go give it a try the next time, you know, you see a dress at the thrift store and you think, it's nice, but it's just weirdly long. For this fantastically fast and oh so retro cool project, you'll need a groovy belt, a makeup pouch or just small bag that coordinates with the belt, and cutting tools. So your first step is to simply flip the bag over and decide where you would like to feed the belt through. I want my bag to kind of hang down a little bit lower. So I'm gonna put a little mark about here. Once you're happy with the placement of your belt, then go ahead and grab a ruler and carefully cut through that first back layer of fabric. Ta-da! And flip it over and repeat on the other side. Now all you got to do is feed your belt through your two little slits in the back, making sure that the front of your belt is facing the front of the bag. So now go forth and create your very own super easy no-sew glam fanny pack. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Oh, how's it going, eh? Sheri's going to show you a super cool and totally easy not sewing at all idea to transform that, old warm winter long underwear into a really cool kind of cardigan that you can wear in the spring and summer, or for Canada Day. Woo! Happy Canada Day! For this fantastically fast and oh so simple project, you'll need a pair of long underwear and your scissors. That's it. Now, because most long underwear nowadays is made out of a cotton jersey blend fabric, all you got to do really is chop it, and it's not going to fray, so there's no hemming involved. Yay! So your first step is to simply lay the long underwear out on a flat surface and then decide exactly where you want to chop it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and chop on through right under that last button because I want to be able to use all the buttons once it's a cardigan. And that's it. That's totally it. You're totally done. Now my long underwear actually had an adorable little bum flap at the back, so I have that little bit of a detail still on the back of my cardigan, but I think it actually is kind of cute, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. How totally quick and super duper easy was that? Just like literally one snip and you got a fab new cardigan. Oh, hi. Today Sheri is going to show you how to totally easily transform a 1980s thrift store blouse into something that you would really want to wear today. Yeah, so grab that, 1980s office lady blouse and a pair of scissors and let's go make it. Yeah, but I gotta go back to work, so see ya. For this fast and easy, funktastic project, you'll need your groovin' 1980s super shoulder pad blouse and your scissors. Oh my God, look how huge these are. They're bigger than my hands. So this is so super easy. All you got to do is locate where they're stitched on and chop it. That's it. Then you're done. So the next time you spy a fabulously patterned yet horribly shoulder padded blouse at the thrift or charity shop, snatch it up, bring it home, chop those shoulder pads out, and you'll have yourself a fantastic wardrobe fave.
Hello, me little puppets. You've just caught me cleaning up after me breakfast. Now, today, the lovely Sheri is going to show you just how simple it is to transform a frumpy old nightgown into a fabulous frock fit for the warmer weather. So stick around for that, and now go on with you. I got to finish me washing up.
For this crazy quick no-sew project, all you need is a vintage elastic or empire waist nightgown and your seam ripper. Now these nighties can be found just about anywhere at charity shops and thrift stores, even clothing swaps. They were super popular in the 70s and 80s, and they're lovely and lightweight with groovy patterns that are perfect for summer weather. So because my nightie has this kind of a decorative ribbon tie here, I'm going to remove that first. Next, to get rid of this annoying and very old-fashioned empire waist, I'm simply going to remove this interior elastic. Now, because this is a very vintage polyester fabric, I'm going to be removing these stitches 1 or 2 at a time maximum, because I really don't want to cause any holes or tears into this old funky fabric. And once that frumpy elastic empire waist is removed, I now have a beautifully smooth and gorgeous maxi dress for summer. Now, quick tip, when you remove the elastic waist, because it has been in there for quite a few decades, you may want to just give the fabric a quick press with the iron. If your fabric is polyester, please remember to put a nice cotton hanky or thin towel over top of the fabric to protect it from burning. And from that kind of tacky tie that I removed from the nightgown first, I created an adorable wrap bracelet. All I had to do was stitch the ends together, then I added an adorable button from my stash and simply wrapped it around my wrist 3 times. And I have a perfectly matching wrap bracelet to go with my groovy new maxi dress. Don't you just love a quick and easy refashions that take no time at all and yet look stellar? I don't know about you, but please let me know down below, what are your kind of most disliked summer fashion styles? Mine are these shirred tops here. I just can't, I don't know. When I'm wearing them, I feel like, you know, I look like a toddler or I'm pregnant again. I just don't like them. They're not super comfortable. The straps are always like way too high up here and pulling in the armpit, and they're just not comfortable. But you know what is comfortable? A shirred waistband. So let's go right now, super quick, and transform this shirred top into an adorable skirt for summer. So the very first thing that you have to do is put the top on and kind of just pull it down to your waist area and make sure it's going to fit. Now, clearly this is super duper stretchy. You know, if it fits around your back and your chest area, it should fit around your waist. And it's actually going to end up being quite a cool high-waisted skirt. So yeah, next step. All you have to do is flip your top inside out and either snip off those straps or remove them with a seam ripper. That's it. And then, you know, you're done. Your skirt is done. So I'm going to use a seam ripper because I don't want any of this bulky stuff to be left over. But seriously, if you use scissors, it's like snip, 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 and you're done. It's less than a minute. So now, because I'm not so into wearing a white skirt, I've decided I'm going to dye this, and I've taken out this lovely blue from my collection of dye. How gorgeous is this as a skirt? It was like the most awful shirt ever, but again, what, 4 kind of snips here and a dye job, and it is now a gorgeous, gorgeous skirt. And this shirring is so, so comfortable as a waistband. Plus, you know, I can style it up like a bunch of different ways. And I think this is going to really be super awesome for summer. It is so lightweight. And again, the waistband is so super duper comfortable. Absolutely let me know which one of my kind of styling ideas is your favorite. And if you have any other ones, I mean, I think this would even work in the colder fall and winter, thrown over some leggings or some thicker tights, and you know, with a blazer or a sweater. It's gonna be adorable. It's just gonna be adorable. It is totally boring. It is very, very long. So today we are going to create some rockin' Refashionista merch without sewing a stitch. So let's get making! For this first so quick and easy DIY merch creating project that involves no sewing at all you need is your plain shirt or whatever garment you want to use, a piece of cardboard, some permanent markers, and a piece of chalk. Okay, so the very first thing you want to do is decide where you want to have your design, and then take your piece of cardboard and pop it inside behind that area. So I want my design to be pretty central here on the front. So I've put my piece of cardboard in between the front and the back, so my permanent marker does not go through to the back of my shirt. Okay, so if you want to get out your rulers or your tailor's measure and measure exactly the space you want your design to be in, you absolutely can. I, of course, am simply going to eyeball it, and I've grabbed my chalk, and now I'm just going to very gently and carefully sketch out my design. Okay, so there is my design. Just, you know, a little bit of refashion. That is all. Very quick and easy. So now comes the tricky-ish part. So now you want to grab your permanent marker, and I cannot stress this enough. This has to be a permanent marker. I just get mine at the dollar store. You don't need anything expensive, and they work absolutely fine. So I've opened it, and you can see this one has a bit of an angled head on it. So we'll see if that's going to be okay. And now I'm just going to really slowly start going over my chalk lines. Now, because this is fabric, we're going to go very slowly. And it's not that big of a deal if you accidentally kind of go out of your original line or anything like that, because you will be going over this more than a few times to make sure your lines will be nice and crisp at the end. So seriously, you can see here, my line is absolutely not even close to being perfect yet. And that's because I'm just wanting to get my first pass done. And then once I'm going over it again, I'm going to make these lines really stand out and be nice and crisp. But when you're first starting out, it's not super important. You will be going back over it again. So you can see now that I have gone over my letters once again, and I made them nice and thick, and I'm going to do it again. But you see, you just got to keep going over it and over it until you are happy with the lines and how it looks. But I think I might try a different color this time. So as you can see, I did add some lovely pink accents and a little bit of red in the heart. And I also went over all of the black one more time. So now we can finally move on to the last step. So we're almost ready for the next step, but you can see I removed that piece of cardboard, and like, look at this. That would have been all over the back of my shirt. And here is just more proof to always hold on to those little bits of cardboard that come in packaging and everything, because you never know when you're going to use it. And it's still recyclable. So, I mean, at the end of the day, just hold on to it and use it for your crafting. So now instead of the cardboard, I have an old tea towel in between the front and the back. And as I said, this is the final step. So we're going to really set this permanent marker here. It will stay without doing this step, so it is optional. I just always like to do it because I find it really does help to keep the design and everything looking fresh after washing it. Okay, so I got another old tea towel on top. And now I'm just going to give it a very good press with a quite hot iron, because my shirt is cotton, so it can take it. If you're doing this on something else, then please be aware of your iron temperature when you are ironing, because some fabrics do not like the iron at all. So this is now finished. If there are any bits of chalk remaining, like right here, I see a tiny little bit, it will come out in the wash. And now let's move on to the next no-sew merch. Full disclosure, we are revisiting my oldie but goodie DIY from 2017 right now. I'm just redoing the voiceover. So for this one, you need a dark colored t-shirt, a piece of chalk, a light colored marker or two that are nearly dried out, a plastic covered piece of cardboard, and of course some bleach. So the first thing you need to do is pop your t-shirt on and mark out the area where you'd like the design to be with your chalk. Then put your plastic covered cardboard in between the front and the back of the t-shirt to prevent any bleach leakage. Okay, here comes the fun part. Now, of course, you get to sketch out your design. Once you're happy with it, then you take your nearly dried out marker and dip it into the bleach, and then ever so carefully trace over your chalk design. Then all you got to do is wait and watch the color change. Now, of course, the more bleach you use, the lighter it will be, and the longer you leave it on, the lighter it will be as well. I left this one on for a couple of hours. Okay, this is over 5 years old now, and look, it is still just as fabulous as the day that I made it. I think it's even more fabulous because it's now super duper soft and well worn in, because I actually wear this quite a bit and I just love it so much. And the fact that because of this type of cotton mix fabric, I don't know if you can see here, but the bleach actually has kind of a little line all the way around each letter. I did not put those lines on there. It did that naturally. So that is super, super cool how bleach reacts to different types of fabric and cotton mix fabric. I just love it so much. And I mean, again, you do not get any cooler than your own personalized merch that you made yourself. Okay, I just have one more quick thing to do to this gorgeous shirt, and that is shorten it, because it is like a dress on me, so I have already marked it to my desired length. Now, I'm not going to hem this because it's cotton jersey, so we're going to cut it and then let it roll back onto itself. And now you can see cotton jersey does not fray, which is absolutely fantastic. Cotton sweatshirt material also does not fray, and you can cut it, and then when you stretch it, give it a nice healthy stretch here, look what happens. It rolls back onto itself, which then gives you a really cool looking rolled up hem. So now we can finally try everything on and style it all up. Who knew it was so easy to make your own personalized garments? Well, I knew, actually, right? That's why I shared it with you guys. I scored this boring blah jacket for free, so I gave it a bath in my Refashionista pink dye, stitched on a Refashionista patch, and of course I need to add even more of my cutie patootie patches from my stash. Luckily, these are all iron-on, so it is very simple to attach them. I simply arrange them where I would like them to be, put down an old cloth to protect the patches, and then iron the crap out of them with a very, very hot iron. And as you can see, I then just move on to the next layer and repeat the whole process until all of my patches are secured on the jacket. And look at this. How absolutely adorable is this? I love the faux zippers on the pockets. And of course, I need to wear my Refashionista thinking cap with my awesome new Refashionista jacket. So out of these 4 fantastic shirts, I think I'm going to start with the flannel because it is the quickest and easiest to refashion. You simply put some hot water into your sink or a bucket, plus about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of bleach, and then soak half of your shirt. It is so easy to transform this into a grunge type of flannel. And look at that. This is only after about 1.5 minutes of soaking in the bleach mixture. And now I'm just going to rinse it with cool water and then launder as usual. And my fantastically groovy grunge shirt is totally complete without sewing a stitch. Okay, so we just did a bleach dip, so now why don't we do some fabric dyeing? And this is just too beige for me, so I think I want to do it a lovely dark color. I'm not sure what though, but I don't have any dark dye just hanging around my house right now, so let's pop on over to the dollar store and grab some. So once again, to create my dye bath, I am putting super hot water in my sink, and I'm using 2 dye packets because this cord jacket is kind of heavy fabric. I also always add about 1.5 cups of salt to my dye bath because I find it really helps to set the color and keep it fresh for longer. Now we're going to pop the jacket in and really make sure it is saturated. Also, whenever I'm dyeing, I always look around my house and see if I have something else. So I'm going to tie-dye this ugly yellow t-shirt as well, and we'll see how it comes out. So I'm still going to let this soak in the dye bath for a little bit longer. So in the meantime, let's head on over here and create an awesome set out of this oversized t-shirt. Pardon the hair situation here, but I am attempting to do some sock bun curls. So we're going to see how that comes out, but here we are looking fabulous. Anyway, so as I said, this is quite a large shirt on me, and we're going to turn it into a two-piece summer set without any sewing at all. It's so simple. So the very first thing I have to do is figure out how short, long I want the top to be. And let's see, if we go about here, and I'm just going to pop a pin right in there, like so. And now let's go back to the table and finish this off. So I have the shirt laid out as flat as I could get it. And I just noticed my pin here is kind of cutting off Eddie's forehead. So I think instead of doing that, I'm going to go right above his head. And now I'm just going to chop on through. Okay, so the top part of my set is pretty much done. I might go ahead and chop off the finished sleeve cuffs here just for a more deconstructed look, but for now it's done. Now let's work on the skirt. And because this is a Stranger Things shirt, I'm not too concerned that this part of the graphic is going to be upside down because, you know, the upside down and all of that. So I think it's actually kind of cool. All right, so here we have the bottom hem of the shirt, which I now have to the top. And this definitely works best with shirts that do not have a side seam because we are simply going to make two little cuts just in the very front of this bottom hem here. So you need to be separating the fabric from the front and the back and putting two little cuts. So I am going to do that right now. So I have my two holes here and they are pretty much in the center, and of course they are just through that front layer of fabric. Now, because my design is right here along the bottom, I can't really cut off a strip and make some t-shirt yarn to go through here for my drawstring waistband. But luckily I have some t-shirt yarn in my stash, so I've already popped a pin in the end of this one. And if you don't know how to make t-shirt yarn, just as I said, you just cut off a strip, and then once you have your strip cut, you stretch it, and look, it folds in onto itself like so, and it does not fray, and it's just fantastic. So I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to thread it through the bottom hem here until I come out the other hole. And this is why it's best to use a shirt that does not have side seams, because I can just zip this all the way around without having to worry about unpicking the side seams. So yeah, I'm going to finish that. And then you know what? The skirt is going to be done too. So as you can see here, I now have a pretty cool no-sew drawstring waistband, and I just knotted the ends of the t-shirt yarn here. And now we can finally go over here and finish off this. And all I have to do is give it a good rinse and of course launder it as usual, and then we can go try it on and style it up. Let's see what this t-shirt actually came out like. I'm very curious because this was just an afterthought, a throw-in kind of extra DIY. Oh, how cute is that? This t-shirt was a really just, well, the whole t-shirt was this kind of yellowish green color, but wowza, that looks so much nicer now, I think, and now I'm probably actually going to wear it. So on the advice of my kiddo, and so I look cool, I'm going to chop off the neckline here so I can also wear this off one shoulder if I want to. So the first thing I've done is just cut a little hole right beside the neckline here, and I'm just going to cut out this finished neckline. So because this shirt was already quite big on me, that's all I have to do to make this wide enough to hang off one of my shoulders. I don't have to cut anymore. If your shirt fits you, then you will have to go ahead and decide which shoulder you want the shirt to be off of, and then just gently chop out a little bit more from that side. And keep in mind, it's always a good idea to try it on every single time you make a cut, because as I always say, you can always cut more, but trying to put fabric back on is a bit of an issue. It's too tight in my chesticle area, so we've got to upsize it. And if you remember from the previous video, it is all like sun bleached here on this area, so we gotta dye it too. So let's just go do that. For this quick and easy, absolutely fantastic, so transforming and upsizing project, all you need is your garment that is too tight in your chesticle area, and of course your handy dandy seam ripper. Now, as I mentioned, I do have to dye this, so I was pretty disappointed when I popped to my local dollar store and they didn't have any green dye. I really want to keep with the green theme going here, so I popped to the big box store, and of course they had loads of green dye at a larger price, to be sure. But it says on the back here that this bottle can do between 2 and 4 different projects depending on how much fabric it is. So hopefully I'm going to get at least one more out of this. And I've never used this, so I am 100% going to be following the instructions. Now it says to fill a sink or a bucket with very hot water and give this a super duper shake. So that's exactly what I'm doing with my fancy schmancy rubber gloves on, of course. And I'm going to use about half of the bottle because this is a maxi dress. It has a lot of fabric. It also said to put about a teaspoon of dish soap, which is interesting. So hopefully that's going to do something. And it said to add salt, which is, as you know, a tip I got from my grandma years and years ago. Then I'm going to give it all a great big stir to mix it all up. I just use an old paint stirrer. And now it is time to get this dress into the dye bath, and as always, just make sure you are folding it in and really giving it a lot of good agitation. I left mine in for about 3 hours, and as you can see, the embroidery actually did not take any of the dye, which is fantastic. So now I'm going to rinse it with cool water until the water gets pretty clear that's going down the drain. Now it's time to head on over to my handy dandy washing machine and launder as usual, and of course hang to dry. Ta-da! How absolutely stunning is this? There is no more sun bleaching on the skirt part whatsoever. And because all of these embroidered threads here were polyester, it seems, they did not take the dye at all, which means it looks even more stunning because the darker green makes the embroidery stand out even more. So now it is time to upsize this without any sewing at all. Now this technique only works if you have the double seams on the inside of your garment. So you can see here the outside seam was serged, but then we also have this interior seam, and that is what we are going to be removing. And this should give me at least 2 or 3 more centimeters of space, which is all I need. So this technique absolutely does work when you just need that little bit of extra room to make the garment more comfortable. All you have to do is figure out where you need to be removing your seams. And so for me, I'm going to do along the shoulders and the sleeves and on the sides of the bodice here, because that's where I need that little bit of extra space. And then you just take your handy seam ripper and remove, if I can get it, yes, this interior second seam. And of course, you absolutely do want to leave the exterior finished edge here. And if you do have a sewing machine or are proficient with hand sewing, you can, of course, make this seam extra strong and sturdy by simply stitching over it again if you're at all worried about it coming apart, but it's not absolutely necessary, and this means this is a totally no-sew refashion. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove all of my secondary interior seams here, and then we're going to see what it looks like. So I just want to show you how truly easy this is. Once you get started with removing your seam, you should be able to just pull, like look at this, I'm just pulling, and all that thread, look, you can just rip it off there, has come off, and look at that. I have increased the size of my sleeve here by about a full centimeter, which is actually quite a bit when you think that this is going to be on both sides. So truly my bodice is going to be upsized by 2 centimeters, which, as I said, is more than enough. So I also went ahead and removed that interior seam from the armhole seam. And with this one, I did do a quick straight stitch as close to the edge here of the serge seam as I could get without going over it, of course, just for that little bit of extra security. But as I said, if you don't sew or you don't have a sewing machine, don't worry about it. You don't have to do this. Because those decorative ties were about 1 meter long, I did go ahead and chop them to my desired length, and then I simply knotted the ends and kind of floofed them up and frayed them up a little bit below the knot, and it's perfect. I put on my best fairy makeup and accessories and then went outside to frolic with my fellow woodland creatures. I sincerely hope you enjoyed all of those no sewing tutorials and that they will help you see your clothes, see your closet in a different way, and make it so much easier for you to transform what you already have into things that you absolutely love. If you want even more no sew tutorials, I have an awesome ebook, and right now it is Pay What You Can. It's part of this big project I am doing over in my online shop for everyone to be able to afford sustainable fashion. Like, it's so simple. You can just make it yourself. So pop on over there. Check out all of my Pay What You Can ebooks and e-courses. You can pay $1 if you want. That's totally fine. All I want is for you to start upcycling, refashioning, and to fall in love with your wardrobe again. And of course, step out feeling great in the sustainable fashion that you have created yourself. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I'll catch ya on the zigzag. Want to see Scully's over there digging up a storm.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.